I'm Chronix from the most extreme wrestling, and this is your Raw review for July 1st, 2013. Now, I was going to have Crystal in this video, but she wasn't feeling very good, so she went ahead and went to sleep. Hence why I am in a completely different area that I am unfamiliar with, and I don't even know why that's back there. I mean, I don't know how that got there, but it's there. Alright, so tonight's episode of Raw was a little bit different than last week and the weeks before it. Last week and the week before was filled with all kinds of excitement and things happening that we didn't expect, and just an overall just joy to the show. But this one kind of fell flat a little bit, and I'll kind of explain that as I go. It was a very small arena, I thought. I was actually going to go and look up and see what arena it was, because all I could see was just the riser seats and no decks or anything. It was a very, it just had like a flat wall. I mean, I assumed that there was some kind of deck up there, but it just looked like a very strangely oddly small arena compared to Raw shows that they do typically every other week. But that stood out to me, and also what stood out about the actual people in this arena was that they were trying to be funny. They were trying to do like the little chants that they did the night after WrestleMania and everything, and it just kind of hurt the show a little bit in a way, but I'll get to that as we get through the show. But first, we start off with Daniel Bryan. He's wearing this new shirt that says, "Respect the beard," which I say thumbs up to that. I thought it was cool. Daniel Bryan on the microphone and everything. He says that this Money in the Bank thing that he's going to be in is the All-Stars edition. I don't really consider Daniel Bryan an All-Star. I mean, he's good, but All-Star, compared to the other people in there, I just don't know. I mean, but whatever. I can get over that. Sheamus comes down to the ring, and he's going to start telling the story. Daniel Bryan's like, "I don't want to hear no story." And Sheamus is like, "What? You don't want to hear a story?" But for whatever reason, when Sheamus said "what," and then they cut that camera angle to him, the look on his face was just bizarre. It was very odd, and it made me laugh. I'm going to have to get a freeze frame of that photo, because it just looked very strange indeed anyways. So, of course, after Sheamus comes out, here comes Orton, and he says, "Man, it's been 2 years since I've had a belt, so I'm hungry. Not in the way that Ryback is hungry, but I'm hungry. I'm starving for that belt." And I was like, oh God, I know where this is going. Everyone in the Money in the Bank match is going to start coming out. And they do, because here comes Kane. He goes kaboom with the pyro thingy, and then there's no music. Usually the music plays, but I guess they expected him to instantly speak as soon as he walked out. So there was just this boom, awkward silence, and then he kind of is like, "Yeah, guys, I also am in this match, and I haven't had a title in a long time either." And here comes Christian. And Christian said he's going to be the WWE champion because he wants one more match. And once again, I ask, why does he keep saying one more match? I can understand if he said one more title match or one more shot at the championship, but he says one more match. He's had a match like every single week since he returned. I'm completely confused and bewildered and befuddled or whatever by that phrasing. It makes no sense whatsoever to Chronix. Just saying. So, CM Punk comes out because the word was uttered, it was best. Because he said, Christian said that he was like the best at wrestler or something, which I thought was odd when he said it, but then when Punk came out, I was like, oh, okay. Punk's like, "I wasn't going to come out and do this whole song and dance thing that y'all all do, but I just heard that and I had to come out." And he talked about Rob Van Dam, which was funny because I thought, yeah, there's no way Rob Van Dam's going to come out on this episode of Raw. Which he didn't. So, out of nowhere, RKO happens to Kane, and I'm like, poor old Kane. Just getting obliterated out there, right? Alright, so we move on from that. We all know that the Money in the Bank match is going to happen with these guys, and we all remember it, because it's in 2 weeks. So we have the Money in the Bank pre-show talk, because they're going to have, at the pre-show, they're going to have the tag team titles on the line, and I'm like, well, that sucks. I guess it's better than the Intercontinental Championship on the line in the pre-show, but whatever, I don't really care. So now we have the match, the Usos and Christian versus the Shield. Why does Christian keep helping out the Usos? I guess he just believes in them so much. I don't know. I mean, that doesn't really make a lot of sense to me, but, I mean, I guess he's in a match. Maybe it's that the Christian wants another one-on-one match, but see, once again, he doesn't say that. He says he wants one more match. You would think that means any match, but no. So, here's the thing with Christian. They always talk about wrestlers having ring rust and things like that, no matter who they are, whether they're CM Punk or The Undertaker. I mean, you hear it from everybody, really. They came back, they had ring rust. Ring rust, ring rust, ring rust. Well, here's the thing. A positivity thing that we may not even realize. Maybe Christian is in all of these tag matches, so we never know that there's any ring rust. So maybe, on that off chance, on that very slimmer than Christian chance, that he won Money in the Bank, once he had a title match, he would just be smooth as silk. I don't think that's going to happen, but we can all have dreams, can we not? Alright, so the Shield, they beat the Usos and Christian, so sad day for them. Kane and Randy Orton have a match, and or they're going to have a match later, and Daniel Bryan is going to be the referee. And I was like, I got some stuff to say about Daniel Bryan being a referee. Not that he can be a referee, but the potential problems of him being that referee. So Dolph Ziggler takes on Jinder Mahal. Why? Why? You know, I can understand if it was a squash match, but it wasn't a squash match. Jinder Mahal got quite a bit of offense in this match. So I'm like, why Jinder Mahal get any offense? I mean, is he nothing more than a jobber in a jobber faction? I mean, I thought so. And Dolph Ziggler he was just the World Heavyweight Champion. And he lost, but he's still in the running. If he's going to take on Jinder Mahal, you would think that he would just sweep him, right? Well, as we find out later in the night, that's just not the case anymore. And that's one of the biggest problems I had with Raw overall, was stuff like this. Why would Jinder Mahal get so much offense? You would think that if Dolph Ziggler's strong and he's in the world title picture, that Jinder Mahal should be easy work, but it wasn't. And we'll continue on with that, but the crowd started chanting JBL, and then they chanted King, trying to be smart fans or whatever, and that kind of, I mean, that's funny, I guess, for the crowd and everything, but doesn't that kind of hurt Dolph Ziggler's, momentum? Because it appears on television that no one cares about Dolph Ziggler, which I don't believe to be the case, as we've seen history unfold week to week. But whatever. Dolph Ziggler wins, and he beats up all the members of 3MB, which makes him look strong, yes. So I guess in the end it all works out and everything. But the crowd was more, the point is the crowd was more preoccupied with satisfying themselves, than I don't know. They just act like they just didn't even care about Ziggler when I think that they actually do. Maybe nobody cares about Ziggler all of a sudden, just like bam, everyone turned off. But who knows? Brad Maddox is standing around backstage, and I don't care. Let's see. Now, Brian, he is going to be in this match as the referee, Randy Orton versus Kane. And see, this is the thing with Brian. Brian tapped that mat so many times tonight, you would think that it would offend every wrestling fan in the world because he was just tapping left and right. But he wasn't tapping because he was giving up. He was tapping because he was the freaking referee. And the problem with this match, I think, is that Brian was fine as a referee. He was fine in that role and everything he did. But, why make the man look small? Why talk about how he's like a troll or whatever they said he was? He keep bringing up the fact that he's small. Even in his promo, he had to say that he was a small guy. Why do that? Because when I look at Daniel Bryan, I don't think of a small guy. Even though he is technically small, I think about how technically sound he is and how good at submissions he is, and he does all this UFC-style training or whatever. I don't think about how small he is, you know what I mean? Because he can take care of business in the ring. So when they bring up this stuff, it makes me think about it. When it makes me think about it, I start thinking he's small. And that's not a good thing. And, and then they're going to make him a referee. He puts on that referee shirt. If he didn't have the beard, I wouldn't have known any different. If they didn't tell me it was Daniel Bryan, I would have had to been like, that guy looks kind of like Daniel Bryan, because he looked tiny. He looked like a referee. So now I'm like, okay, so a referee, a guy that's the same size as a referee, is supposed to be world title material. How does that help? How does that help him in the title picture? I don't know. I just don't know. People will probably say, oh, well, it's just a funny segment. But, you know, when you start turning the gears the wrong way and start showing things, you know, it's all about covering up the things that you don't want to see, right? You don't want to see that, so let's cover it up. But, you know, they're like, oh, well, look at it. It's Hulk Hogan. It's Hulk Hogan. You know what I mean? I don't know. You see what I'm saying? Just saying. And anyways, Brian calls disqualification for whatever reason. I didn't see what happened there, and I didn't go back and look. But Kane gets a pin, and he fast counts, and then Kane is upset because he did the fast count, and, you know, because Kane wanted to win naturally, I guess. And he's going to choke slam Daniel Bryan out of so much anger. But after choking him for so long, he's just like, all right, the choke was enough. I don't want to choke slam you. I'm just out of here. So, and then an RKO from behind, and Kane is left out. So I can't wait until they break down during that Money in the Bank match. That's going to be awesome. Now, Sheamus takes on Fandango. Why? I don't know. But they have a match. And Fandango was wearing so much fake tan, I was afraid it was going to start rubbing over Sheamus, and he was going to start looking like just a regular old normal person instead of a super white dude, you know what I'm saying? Because he had him in that chin lock, and he was rubbing his face on him and stuff, and I was like, dude, you're going to give the man a tan. Don't do that. But anyways, there's like a count-out win for Sheamus, and I'm like, okay. And this is one of those other matches coming up next that bothered me, again, with that's supposed to be a squash, but it's not. Ryback versus The Miz. Ryback is supposed to be this big, strong, tough guy that's going to beat up everybody. He can take on 1 people, 2 people, 3 people. He can take on legitimate tag teams if he wants and destroy them. But now he's going against The Miz, and The Miz is getting offense. Not just a little offense, not just a move here or there. Now, he's getting quite a bit of offense. So, if they hadn't already completely buried Ryback, then tonight, oh my goodness, has he been buried for sure. You know what I mean? It doesn't make logical sense. And I know it's a lot for Chronics to ask for something to make sense, logical sense, just, you know what I mean? But, hey, whatever. Whatever. He gets all this, and then Ryback gets kicked in the knee, and he quits. Chris Jericho's on commentary. He's calling him a quitter. He's calling him Cryback and everything. So, I guess it kind of like legitimizes the fact that Chris Jericho can take on Ryback, but here's the difference. There is a difference. You see, Chris Jericho, first ever undisputed champion, took on Triple H, Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock. You know, he's a legend, basically. The Miz is not. The Miz might get there someday, but he is not there. He's Captain Pre-Show. I'm going to wrestle on YouTube, you know, for like 5 pay-per-views in a row. A little bit different, I think. I think so, yes. So, anyways, technically, The Miz beats Ryback. Chris Jericho hits the code breaker on Cryback, and we move on to Mark Henry. He cuts a promo talking about, you know, he's no crackerback, whatever thing. He cuts an alright promo. Not as explosive as his, you know, his turn swerve, whatever, but that's expected. It's kind of hard to top amazingness, right? Out of the blue type stuff. He's like, man, people are going to be like, man, Mark Henry earned that title and everything, and I'm going to say that, and if Mark Henry wins that title, I'm probably going to shed a tear. Because that man, I'm telling you, after the things that he's been doing the past couple of years, I will want him to win. He needs to win, and I will just be so happy for him if he does so. Curtis Axel and CM Punk. They don't want a tag team, but they have to, and they're taking on the primetime players. I love this. The whole breakdown between Punk and Paul Heyman, smart. It's just smart. Before it gets old with them, make them break up and make them do it in spectacular fashion. I got no problem with that, not whatsoever. But Axel gets the win, which is great, because CM Punk is all upset, right? And plus, it makes logical sense, because why wouldn't Axel want to get the victory? You know, oh, I'm just going to let Punk do it because he's Punk. He wanted to win the match, he won the match. I don't see a problem with that, so I don't see why Punk would be that upset about it, but, you know, he probably will be. Now we have a Divas match. No dressing up, no special segments or whatever for this one. It's just Caitlyn versus Alicia Fox. And Alicia Fox, getting better in the ring, I guess. I saw her on NXT, she wasn't so bad. Saw her on Raw, she wasn't so bad. I don't know. She's coming around, I guess. But Caitlyn hits the spear. I've seen a lot of people do the spear over the years. You know, Goldberg was probably the biggest one, right? He had a mean spear. It was like, dang. Rhino, holy crap, that man just killed him. And, you know, Edge started doing it. But he had his own special intensity to it, which made it work. And, yeah, other people have done it, and I've not been a very big fan. But I guess when it comes to divas, it makes sense for Caitlyn to do it. She's one of the bigger divas, and she does it in a way that doesn't look terrible. So I guess I can't really have a problem with her using the spear. But afterwards, AJ, well, after she wins, I guess, AJ calls her trash. She comes out there, you know, she's got this unsavory photo of her modeling days. I'm like, oh man, because I've seen those photos, and I say thumbs up to those as I check the time. And, but it wasn't. She tricked us, man. It was this photoshopped picture of her being abnormally big for her size, and I was like, oh, sad day. Stephanie and Vicky Guerrero, apparently Vicky Guerrero is going to have a evaluation next week because she made this match where it's going to be champion versus champion, Del Rio versus John Cena, and apparently they shouldn't have gave away this main event or whatever, and I'm just like, y'all are acting like this is a big deal. They showed about 50,000 video packages starting from day one of WWE or whatever, when they have this footage of these old matches up until now of how important each title is and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, they could show as many of these video packages as they want, and no one's going to ever believe that this match is a big deal. So whatever. Alright, so the Rhodes Scholars, they're going to, you know, they're talking about Money in the Bank, whatever. Zeb Coulter, Antonio Cesaro, and Jack Swagger returns wearing a shirt that has like this chain across America thing, and I was like, wow. They might sell 10 of those shirts, but I guarantee you not one person is going to wear one and out in public because they're going to think that that person is like a psycho or something. So I just found it weird that the dude would get a shirt. It was like a humongous deal that AJ got her own shirt, and they're going to give Jack Swagger a shirt that possibly no one will ever buy because they'll get mugged. You know what I mean? I don't know, but anyways, whatever. Cody Rhodes versus Cesaro. Cesaro wins. Looks strong, so good for him. Now we have Cena, the champion, versus Del Rio, also champion, but world heavyweight title. And it was a long match. I can't say that it was boring or bad, because it really wasn't. I just was really starting to fade a little bit, just like, oh my gosh, I'm going to fall asleep, you know. Not the match's fault, but I was getting a little bit haggard there. And Mark Henry, you know, he comes up, and there's a roll-up, but kick out. And Ziggler comes down, he gets on top of like the turnbuckle to distract. John Cena gets the AA, and somehow, magically, Dolph Ziggler disappears, and John Cena gets the pin, and he wins, and John Cena, WWE champion, comes out victorious. It wasn't title for title or anything, obviously, but Mark Henry goes in there, grabs the belt, and then throws it down. So I thought that was a fine way to go off the air. But that's not how they went off the air. Believe it or not, they went off the air with the Wyatt family video package about them coming next week. And I was just like, I can't believe it. They're actually giving them that much credibility. But you know what doesn't really give the Wyatt family that much credibility? When they talk about Bray Wyatt tweeting. Because it's like, that once again, you're bringing up things that make him seem not as scary. A guy on Twitter doesn't sound that psychopathic to me, just saying. And the fact that they have internet in that little dunghole that they live in just really starts making me ask the questions like, why this, why that? So it's kind of like, why do they keep bringing that up? Like, yeah, we want to check out their Twitter and they want to promote that and everything, but maybe hold off on that until they debut, and then you can put their little Twitter handles on their nameplates, and then we can kind of silently absorb the information besides being like, bam, 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 they have Twitter handles, and they have internet connections or whatever. But, you know, I'm just pointing out those little things that stand out to me. It's just kind of like what I do, you know what I'm saying? But that was Raw, and it was fine, I guess. But, hope Crystal gets better. I will see you guys very soon.